Hi everyone, my name is Katie Arisman, and today I'm going to go over some guidelines you'd want to follow when traveling to Japan. The Japanese culture is very different of that compared to the American lifestyle. The country of Japan contains its own set of guidelines to be followed. It's very significant to be accustomed to the Japanese traditions as well as their beliefs. If you plan on traveling there, they expect you to know things about their country. Without knowing various aspects about one's culture and communication skills, you can easily be misinterpreted. There are a couple key concepts that I want you to keep in mind when traveling to Japan. An individual's manners is one that is most important aspect. Regardless of what you may or may not know about a country, by being polite, you're just going to get farther. In order to do this, you need to know what actions are accepted there. They're not going to have the same actions that we have accepted there. Something you do regularly here just may not be allowed there. No matter how normal it seems, other cultures have different acceptings. And secondly, you want to understand how they communicate with one another so you don't misinterpret what they're saying. Knowing keywords in Japanese would help you with this. Different languages often use the same words but have different meanings. So maybe a word we use here all the time that has one meaning, you could go to Japan and they might use that same word all the time, but it could have a completely different concept. Now, I'm going to give you the basic rules of the Japanese culture that they expect you to know. When you come into their country, they expect you to know these things, and if you don't listen to them or follow these guidelines, you can be taken as rude. Okay, first off, you never want to enter a house with your shoes on. I know a lot of times I come home and don't take the time to take off my shoes, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you do this in Japan, you are looked down upon completely. You have to take your shoes off when entering someone's home. And also, when you're invited to a family's house, you're expected to bring a guest. You need to bring a guest to thank them for the invitation, regardless of why you're there. And when you're entering their house, you want to apologize for being a disturbance. Again, it doesn't matter the reasons you were there, you need to apologize immediately upon entering the house for disturbing them. And if it is a rainy day and you have your umbrella and you're going to the market or you're going to the grocery store, you need to either know that the grocery store is going to offer a bag to put your dripping wet umbrella in, or you're going to need to bring your own bag. Bringing a dripping wet object into the store is not accepted. And also, they believe it's impolite to blow your nose. So, if you're sick and you have a cold, you cannot blow your nose publicly. That's just not accepted. And you should never eat while walking down the street. If you're having a really busy day and you don't have time to eat, here in America, we're driving and we're eating, or we're running down the sidewalk of New York and we're trying to scarf down our meal, but in Japan, that's not accepted. Even at their own homes, they must sit while eating. Also, while in Japan, you do not want to point fingers to anyone or any object. If you want to direct your attention to a specific object, you need to wave your fingers with your palm downward. So you would need to have your palm downward and your fingers waving. And this would be how you would direct attention. They also do not believe in being direct on their opinions publicly. If you ask a Japan person what they think of something, they will not give you their true opinions if it's making a bold statement. They might kind of give you a little bit of a hint of what they're leaning towards, but they will not be bold with you. The only people who know the Japanese's true opinions are their family members or close friends. They will not discuss important topics out in public. They don't believe that it's right. Also, when you ask somebody a question, you want to allow them to have time to answer and think about it. In Japan, it's only normal to have silence in conversations. Here in America, we might view that as awkward if you're talking and there's just a slight silence. In Japan, they look at that as being respectful and giving people time to think about their answer to respond. And a definite no is to interrupt somebody in Japan. That is just completely rude. I know we're all so busy here, and half the time when you're talking to somebody, something you need to say, and you might interrupt, but that's just not good communication skills, and it is not at all accepted. You do not want to stare or watch anyone, especially men or beautiful women. You don't want to stare at them and just basically gawk at them. That is not accepted either. And the last thing that I found to be a big concept in Japan is using cell phones while on the train. They do not allow you to use any kind of cell phones. You can email or get out your laptop, but just cell phones are not allowed. Talking on the phone, text messaging, they don't allow that. Okay, once you have learned the manners of Japan, it's time to start focusing on how the Japanese speak. Versus using different words, Japanese use different pitches in communicating. So you could be trying to say something and you're pronouncing it right, but if you're not using the right pitch, it could have a completely different meaning. So I encourage you all to fully understand the different pitches of all words, or at least common words and phrases, so when you go to Japan, you're not saying something you're not meaning to say, because that is an easy way to be misinterpreted. Okay, and that's all. I hope you guys can all take these tips and apply them towards your trips to Japan. I want to thank you all for being here today, and I just hope you all have a great and wonderful day. Thank you.